Hello and welcome to the channel. My name's Lewis, and in today's video we're going to be creating a tactic that's helpful for beginner players. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a beginner. If you've got questions regarding tactics, this video can definitely help you as well, because I'm going to be going not in depth, but I'm going to be going sort of just past the first little bit. I'm going to be scratching below the surface slightly and getting you guys asking questions and creative juices flowing. I like to make you guys ask the question, think about it, so when you're driving home from work tomorrow, you're thinking, oh, I wonder if my right winger should be a winger or an inside forward. But before we get into that, a quick reminder that you guys can get the game for 22% off with my link at fanatical.com. It's cheaper than Steam, guarantees early access, and supports me and the channel, which I'm very appreciative of. The link is down in the description below. As soon as you click it, it takes you to the page with the coupon applied automatically. Also, a quick one to everyone that's done that already. I would like to say a huge thank you. You are all absolute legends, and I cannot thank you enough. Right then, let's get back to today's video. I thought I'd play the game a little bit before I decided to make this video, so it didn't look like it was disingenuous and I was just making things up. I've started the save and I'm 11 wins out of 11 with my hometown Barnsley. We've got a 24 goal difference, scored 29 goals and only let 5 in. And honestly, I feel a little bit like Frank Lampard this season. So currently we're 7 points clear of Peterborough, but we do have 2 games in hand, which is a very, very healthy position to be in. But let's have a look at the tactic. Let's talk about both in possession, out of possession, and why I came to what I came to. So first of all, it's just a simple 4-3-3, and then out of possession, it's a 4-1-4-1. But it actually works a lot differently to this that meets the eye. I'm going to go through it in stages, so we're going to start with the defence, because that makes the most sense. I'm going to talk about in possession and out of possession of the defence, but then we're going to talk about the midfield, and then we're going to talk about the striker, and then we're going to talk about the roles and how they impact each other inside the game. More on that later, because that's very, very important. So make sure you're watching right till the end. So the first thing we're going to talk about then is, how do you want to play? I'm asking this question because this is a basis on what you're going to do. Now, do you want to base it off a certain manager in real life? Then obviously you've got to do your own research in how you think he plays, and maybe if you want a little twist on it, that's absolutely fine. But I made this tactic with my own vision in mind and what I wanted to see and the rotations and the movements from each player, and honestly right now it's going quite well, so I'm very happy with it. I wanted to use a couple of roles as well that were really important, but basically they are important, but also ones that I really enjoy and I have done for years on FM, and I wanted to make them work together. And I'll come to those in a second. But the first question you have to ask yourself is, how do you want to play? There's a couple of ways you can go about this. First of all, just simply, how do you want to play? Regardless of team, league, players, how do you want your team to play in the match engine that's going to give you the most enjoyment? And then second of all, as you tweak it and perfect it, how happy you're going to be when you've made your own creation rather than downloading one or sort of copying other people, which is absolutely fine. But in my opinion, and I've said it so many times, and I'll say it next year on FM and the year after that, if you make your own tactics, you get a different level of satisfaction inside Football Manager. So if you haven't made your own tactics, this video is for you to hopefully give you the bravery and sort of ask questions, and maybe you can step into that and make your own for the first time, and hopefully it's not that scary. Now, the second way to do it is based on your players, the league you're in, and also the opposition. For example, if you want to play really attacking, but you take over, I don't know, Burnley or Leeds in the Premier League, not saying you're not going to get away with it, and you probably will survive first season, but how optimal do you want to be? And if you want the best possible way to start the season, you're probably going to have to dial back the aggressiveness and the attacking intent. Now, you don't have to do that. You can basically go down the Bielsa route and just go for it, and you get enjoyment that way. That's absolutely fine, because that's what I want you to do. I want you to enjoy the game and the match engine. But I like to pair these together, and it's not often the easiest thing to do, but I've been playing FM for a long time, over 20 years. Yes, I'm very old. So let's start at the back then. Let's start with the right back. So when we get the ball, I want him to invert. The only player that I don't think suits the role that he's in is Connell in defensive midfield. He's one of my best players, but he's actually not really a halfback. He's good on the ball. He's more like a deep line playmaker, and he's not the biggest or the strongest, so halfback is probably asking a little bit much of him physicality wise. Sometimes it's square pegs in round holes, especially in the first season. So when we get the ball then, Bruckner from right back is going to come into this little position here. Now, when he does that, Luca Connell is probably already in a position between the defenders. So to show it visually, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to put Bruckner in there, and then I'm going to put Connell behind there in centre back. And basically when this happens, we build up with the 3, but then also I push Georgie Gent on. Sometimes he's in the wing back position, but honestly sometimes it's even further up, because Kayla Dunn comes in here. It's very hard to talk about the right back and how him inverting sets off a chain reaction for everyone else. And then that gives also Carey here in the left centre midfield position license to come into this little area here, because he's a midfield playmaker, so he sort of comes in this little role and picks up anything that these guys can. And oftentimes, in possession, I do get this quite a lot. Basically, it's a 3-2-4-1. Kayla Dunn from the left wing as an inside forward is often the highest player forward looking to get in behind. My deep line forward, which is a role that I've used for so long, it's my favourite role in FM. And this guy, Moreno, by the way, I signed him on a free, and he's got a ridiculous amount of goals in the first 11 or 12 games. I think he's got like 15. So deep line forwards can score goals. Don't worry about that. A lot of people think that they don't score as many goals, so they stick to advanced forward and channel forward, whatever roles that people use. A lot of people don't even touch the deep line forward role because it's a support duty and they don't think it's going to score goals. Trust me, guys, it does. It just upsets the opposition defence a lot to the point where you get a lot of different goal scorers, which is how I like to play. If you've got a lot of threats from multiple positions, you're a lot harder to be beaten and you're a lot harder to man-mark, because if you man-mark one player out of the game, there's a good chance there's 2 or 3 others that are going to step into that void and score and finish you off. So to tidy it up a little bit on the match screen, this is what we're looking at when we're building up in the phases of play. So it's a 3-2-4-1. You're building up with a 3 and 2, which is very good because if they've got 2 strikers, you've got an extra man. And if they've only got 1 striker, what you can do is change one of your centre-backs, if you want, to an advanced centre-back, and he will actually push forward, which then makes a 2-3 build-up and helps a lot against the 1-striker formations. So I started this tactic, and I wanted a deep line forward, I wanted an inverted wing-back, because I didn't try them before in FM24, and I really wanted to get them involved. I also like the half-back role. I think it's very, very good, and I also like centre midfield attack. Now, that's been changed this year, and this is Yoga Nathan for me. Now, if you look at him, he's not amazing. He's okay. He's 19. He's a young lad. He's got potential, but he has scored 8 goals in 8 starts. Now, he didn't start the season as my first choice, but he came off the bench a couple of times and started doing really, really well. And I thought, you know what? He's young and he's going to get better, so let's just play him, stick him in. And he's rewarded me quite handsomely. So let's put it back to how it was at the start, because I understand that moving all those players in little positions, I understand that it can get a bit overwhelming. So basically, what you've got to think about is, how do you want to play when you've got the ball? Do you want your centre-backs to be going wide if you play in a back 3? Do you want your defensive midfielder to be a half-back? Do you want him to be a deep line playmaker? What do you want your players to do when you've got the ball? Also, look at your squad and decide what they can and can't do. But basically, what I would do personally is I would choose how you want to play yourself and then build around that eventually. To start with, you might have some teething problems because you might have players not able to fit the roles right, but within a season or two, you're going to have the players that you want because you can go out and buy exactly what you need for your system. And I also think that brings a lot more enjoyment out of the game. Now, we're going to quickly jump to the team instructions and I'm going to explain how I got to what I got to. Now, in build-up, as you can see from this lovely little graphic here, this shows how we build up. Now, it's not exactly true. This is more like it. Like I said, it's a 3, it's a 2, it's a 4 and 1. Moreno there should be a little bit deeper, but I understand why he's not, because he's a striker. It's going to show that he is the highest person on the pitch. He's often not, but it's fine because I understand what I want. But you can see there loosely the 3, the 2, the 4 and the 1. Right? You can see it. Sometimes Kayla Dunn is deeper, sometimes Moreno is higher. It's all fluid, but roughly, I wanted a 3-2-4-1 structure. Now, I encourage a lot of dribbling in my team, even out of these positions in here. I like to sign players that are good at dribbling. I like players that will solve problems with dribbling. So if you're in a bit of trouble, someone's marking you and it's deep, I like someone that's got agility, that's got pace, that is just going to make a touch and is just going to fly past someone with a good first touch, or some agility, balance, whatever you want to flair, whatever you want to call it. I do like that. It can get you out of a lot of sticky situations and it can also create overloads quite easily. I don't believe in progressing the ball through a certain area. Now, for example, if you're playing against the 4-1-2-1-2 and they've got no wide players, yes, I get it. You might want to progress down the wings or left-hand side or the left back bombing up the pitch or whatever, or the right midfielder on the right-hand side who's a right winger, in my case, Vickers out here. So there is always exceptions to the rule. This is not how we play every single game. If I notice something inside the game, I will definitely change it. Now, what I'm going to do with that is I'm actually going to play this first season. I'm going to get promoted, hopefully. Fingers crossed that we carry on the way we are. And then I'm going to make another video in the championship when it's going to be a lot harder and see if we can maximize the performance of our team, who's a newly promoted team in the championship. So if you want to stick around for that video, that might be next week or the week after, but it will be in the next couple of weeks. And if you want to stick around for that, please hit the subscribe button on the channel and get notifications on, because that will be landing in your inbox very, very soon. And as you can see here, my right centre-back, Irusta, has the exact same role as Josh Earl at left centre-back, but because Bruckner's come inside, he's actually positioned him wider, which is very, very good because he's got pace, and I like that, and that's why I've stuck him there, because he can hopefully sort out the problem that I mentioned at the start, with Bruckner coming inside and we're getting counter-attacked here. I think Irusta's got like 17 pace and 13 acceleration. He's not the best on the ball, 6 technique, 10 passing, 9 composure. He's not really good at positioning, 8, but it's League One, and he's been very good so far, and I needed someone with a bit of pace, and my centre-backs at the start had none. And he was a free transfer. I'm just telling you why each player is in the position they're in and things to consider when you're making your tactic, because every single player has a bearing on each other and how they react in certain moments. For example, the reason why my centre attacking midfielder here, Younger Nathan, the reason why he's scoring so many goals is a mixture of things. First of all, Bruckner comes inside, which means he occupies the centre midfielder, which means Younger Nathan can slip behind their midfield on his own. Second thing that's helping him do that is Vickers. Vickers is holding the width, which means he's got all this channel here to run into. And the most crucial one probably is the deep line forward, because the deep line forward is coming deep, making centre-backs come with him, and then Younger Nathan again can slip behind the midfield, but then also behind the defence, which he's done quite a lot, and he's happened to be good at finishing, which is very, very good. A centre midfield attack, or not a centre midfield attack, but an attacking centre midfielder in FM26 is very, very important in my opinion. And that brings me to the next part of this. So midfield. Midfield is probably the most important roles to get right. And because this is sort of a beginner's video to tactics to help you sort of jump into it, I'm going to explain in quite simple terms how I view the midfield. I like to have one midfielder defending, and that's his job. In my case, it's Connell. He's dropping into the back three. He's basically helping with that. He'll never be behind the ball. He will never at any point be in front of the ball. Now, I'm not saying he can't do that. In real life, I wouldn't say to him, you can never do that. I would say to the other players in midfield, if you do see him do that, you do that job. But basically, someone always has to be doing his job. But it's FM, so it's less fluid. So basically, he is down here defending. Now, the second one, what we don't want here is we want him as a halfback, fine. But then what we don't want is someone who's a centre midfield attack and then someone who's an advanced playmaker. And we've got players right up here. We've got four in a line there. And then there's no one in this gap here, right? Because basically, that's what we witnessed when we was watching Liverpool the other night. And they had no one in the centre midfield. And there was no one to build up. There was no one to progress the ball. And it was just basically a basketball, long ball game. And then have one that's sort of linking the play up. For me, it's Kari over here on the left-hand side. Now, the reason he's linking things up, again, is because everything affects each other. Now, I don't want him pushing too far forward, like Younger Nathan, because Kayla Dunn is coming off the left-hand side, and I don't want him to stifle that position there, right? I don't want him to get, and them two to be like sort of on each other's pocket, holding hands, doing ring of roses. I don't want that. And because Kayla Dunn is coming inside, that means Georgie Gent on the left-hand side can bomb up the pitch, and he's got all that left-hand flank for himself. So I also don't want Kari to be too far forward, because I do need someone that's going to stop this flank here. Now, he's a midfield playmaker, and he's actually a very good player. I don't know how I managed to sign him, if I'm honest. I'll click on him just to show you really quick, and he's playing really well. He's worth 7 million in League One. I genuinely think it's a bit unrealistic that I signed him. I asked people in my Discord, and they said that Inter Milan, Juventus, and the likes have signed him. So I've got very, very lucky. And I'm probably not getting the most out of him, but he's doing a spectacular job at the role he's playing. He's a very important role, this midfield playmaker role, because he knits it all together. If Georgie Gent here is in trouble, Carrier will come and get it off him. If my centre-back here, Josh Hill's in trouble because Gent's gone forward, guess what? Connell is down there to help him out, or Carrier will come deep and get the ball. If Younger Nathan has nowhere to go, guess who's here? Carrier. And if Bruckner comes inside and has nowhere to go, again, guess who's there? Carrier. So not only is it about seeing jigsaw pieces and which areas need to fix others, it's also knowing which players can play each role, and Carrier, being as good as he is, can fulfill all them things because he's very, very good. Honestly, if anyone has any sort of questions around this, please put it in the comments and I will reply to you all. If you want a more in-depth look at your tactic, or I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I know a few things about it, so if you want to jump into the Discord, the link is down below, then jump into the Discord, jump into our FM channel, and honestly, put a picture up with your tactic if you want any help with it, and when I get a chance, I will look at it and I will try and help you as much as I can. So yes, we started with the right back, and we've sort of gone through what I want from the team and how it all fits together. Like I said, just a quick overview and summary. Marino drops deep, Younger Nathan goes behind, Vickers keeps the width, Carrie knits it all up, Connell joins the centre-backs, Georgie Gent bombs up the left-hand side because Kayla Dunn comes inside and makes a second striker, and Bruckner, my right-back, comes inside because Connell is leaving that space to go into centre-back. So there's a lot of rotations, but it's actually done really, really well for me so far. Now, out of possession, it's quite simple, to be honest. I've made a couple of changes. The only ones being is in my midfield four. Nothing else, not really a problem. So my left midfield and my right midfield, or my left wing and right winger, they are basically asked to come back into a bank of 4 or 5, whichever you want. I don't want Connell to be dropping between the centre-backs when we don't have the ball. I want him to be stepping up, because if the other team has an attacking midfielder, I need someone to be on him. And the changes that I've made is I've asked my left winger and right winger to press a bit less often, because even in this match engine, like the last one, I do feel that wide players press a little bit haphazardly. They don't really know where they're pressing or why they're pressing. They sort of just go and press anyone, and I don't want them to do that. I want us to be quite compact. We're still high press, and I'm going to go through the team instructions on that in a second, but we are still high press, but I don't want us to be ridiculously stupid pressing and gaps to be appearing everywhere, because that's also not clever. So my wide midfielders are set to mark the opposition fullbacks and also press a little bit less often than they were doing in the first place, because that was just too much. The other things as well is my two centre midfielders are pressing midfielders. So when the opposition try to build up, I want both my centre midfielders to go after it and man mark and try and win the ball high up the pitch. That's just the way I like to play, and then Connell is there behind them. There's not too much happening there off the ball. It's quite simple, it's quite structured, it's quite good, and we've only conceded 5 goals, so I think it's working quite well so far. Doesn't mean I'm not going to change it for next season. We shall see, depending on who we sign and what happens, but again, there's nothing special with anything else that's happening. It's quite simple. And honestly, I don't think you have to overcomplicate the defensive side of things. So now if we go to team instructions, I'm going to be talking about the ones behind my head right now. So dribbling, as I spoke about earlier, I want to encourage dribbling. Cross style is low crosses, because my striker isn't the best in the air. He's not too bad. He's like 11 or 12 jumping reach, but there's some big centre backs in League One. And I also think low crosses are the way to go, because they just cause carnage. So low crosses on that one, and supporting runs as a default is set to balance. So that's everything behind my head. The first thing is passing directness. I've gone standard, tempo standard, and a lot of people were probably wondering, why do you not want I don't really want to pigeonhole the players to go short passing all the time, because they tend to look for short passes, and then sometimes if you set to short and they don't have a short option, they'll either get tackled because they've not nowhere to pass to, or they'll play it long because they've just got nothing and they have a brain fart. Sometimes in games, if we're looking like we're not keeping the ball a lot and the team's sitting back, I probably will go to short passing. I do change it a little bit in game, and we'll go to that as well. But tempo wise as well, same thing. I don't want us to go too quick, because if we go too quick and the opposition is sitting back, like a lot of teams are against us, then we're just going to hit a brick wall and we're going to play them fast for no reason. And sometimes you want to play a bit slower, because you're wanting to draw those defensive teams out of their low and mid blocks. So I don't really believe setting it either quick or low, or short or long passing in each game as a default, for me, doesn't seem ideal. I like the players to sort of judge themselves. They have a standard, so they can go long or short, or they can go quick or slow. That's up to them. Attacking width, I love the fact that we attack narrow. I don't understand why you would want your attackers to attack wide. I can understand width. That's why I've got my right winger on the width, and that's why I've got my left back creating width. But I don't get why you wouldn't want people close to your striker for combinations, for help, for rebounds, many reasons. And I'm sure there's reasons for the opposite as well, but for me personally, I've gone attacking narrow width, because I like to attack down the centre with my centre midfield attack, my deep line forward, my inside forward coming in, and sometimes even my right winger comes in right at the end on the last phase and will score a goal at the back post. Creative freedom, more expressive. I love more expressive, and it's something that I really like on FM, and it gives the players a bit of license to do extra things if they want. So rather than it being a bit boring and a little bit predictable, I like my players to be able to, if they get the ball in a situation or a sticky situation, they can get out of it with a pass, a dribble, or something like that. And I don't know, I just like to give them a little bit extra license to do something they want. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes we lose the ball, and if that's happening a lot, then I will take that down, but I do like that. Build-up strategy, this is new this year, and I think it's sort of like a play out of defence type thing, but I've gone with play through press. Now, that's just like a fundamental thing that I want us to do. I want us to play through the press, and if we lose the ball, we lose the ball. But I think with the system we've set up and the way the players move into each positions, I think more often than not, especially in League One, we can get away with that quite often. We're going to be good enough, and the structure is good enough to be able to pass through. And if we can get teams to press us high up the pitch, that means they've got less players at the back, and it means potentially more chances and more goals. Goal kicks, obviously short to go with the build-up strategy. Goalkeeper distribution, I want to go to the centre-backs. Again, that lends into the last two things. Supporting runs, I've gone balanced, because pretty much the same things I spoke about at the start with passing directness, tempo. I don't want them pigeonholed into things that they might not want to do or can't do in some situations. Same with the progress through down here at the bottom left. I don't want us to go left-hand side. I don't want us to go down the right-hand side or the centre, because if I go down the right-hand side and their left-back is having an absolute worldie of a game, then we're just going down that side for no reason, and he's playing really well. And just no. Unless you've got an absolute superstar who's like a one-man team and you want to play down the right side because he's your best player and he's a right winger, fine. But I really don't see it. Unless it's a really tired left back at the end of the games and you want to change it and you go down the right side, that's fine as well. But to start with, I think balance is probably the best thing to do. Everything else is left as balance. Sometimes I do move shoots from distance down to discourage, because they do a lot of long shots. I think that's just an FM thing, FM26 thing. So that is basically in possession and how we want to do it. That's how I've set it up, and it's why I've wanted to set it up. And I'm trying to explain why I've done things, the reasoning behind it, so you guys can start questioning things. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, you guys can be sort of, I don't know, you might be watching this while your partner's asleep or whatever, and you've got a minute to yourself, and you might be thinking, oh, do you know what? That's actually made me think, because my left back isn't getting involved like I want him to. So can I make my left winger come inside? Can I create him space to do it? Or you might do it with a centre forward. You might be not scoring enough goals. You might have him set to an advanced forward or whatever it is on this FM. I think it's just centre forward. And he might not be scoring enough goals. You might be like, oh, do you know what? I'll try him as a deep line forward, because honestly, it does work and it just gets your creative juices flowing. And I want you guys to watch my videos and be like, do you know what? I didn't think of that. And then if you do try things and apply logic to things, you might be sat there thinking, wow, I never actually knew I had it in me. I actually can create tactics. They're good tactics. And actually, I'm really good at this game, because I want you guys to improve at this game. I'm not saying you need to improve, but I think we all can, right? Myself included. I'm not saying I'm the oracle. Many of this, I do think I've collected enough knowledge throughout FM and me playing it that I can sort of bring it to you guys. So let's jump to out of possession then. And it's not really right now anything too crazy. So high press, because I want that as a backbone to our system. Everything in possession and our roles and duties, everything lends itself to a high press. It doesn't make sense to do all that and be quite aggressive to then go mid-block. Now, what I could do when we go up to the championship, I might have to go mid-block. But then again, I might have to change some rules with it. That video, like I said, will be in the future, so make sure you're there for that. Then defensive line, I could probably get away with much higher up, higher up, not much higher up. I don't want to do that because it sort of cramps the space that the attackers and midfielders have to play in. And the reason why I've gone standard is just because of that. I don't want to cramp them in too much. I could probably go up to higher, especially now I've signed the Argentinian guy with 17 pace. I could probably get away with that. But right now, defensively, we're doing really well, and I don't really want to change it. Trigger press, I've gone more often, again, which in lines with my philosophy, how I want to play. And we have got a decent team. We can press. I don't want to go too much because that creates gaps, but I also don't want to go passive because we are able and capable of getting the ball quickly and punishing teams. Tackling is set to standard. I did have that hard, but we were making a lot of fouls. It was encouraging a lot of crosses and free kicks and corners into our box that we didn't really need to do. So I've taken that off and I can see a big difference. So that's staying at standard for now. Now, if I get better tacklers, for example, my left back's got like 9 tackling because he's a wing back, I'll probably change that if I get someone better at that. Cross engagement, obviously you can do stop crosses, invite crosses. Again, I think it's best to be balanced. If we're stopping crosses, that means that my centre midfielders and everyone else is going to be looking to sort of like press on the outside, and that sort of leaves us vulnerable in the centre. Again, if you've got really good central midfielders, like an Arsenal team, or Liverpool have probably got really good centre midfielders on FM, then you could probably do stop crosses because they're probably good enough to get back in and defend there as well. But for me right now, I think balanced is the right thing to do. Pressing trap, I've gone to trap outside. So basically when the ball goes out to the opposition wings, I want to go and press them. The reason for that is quite simple actually. It's when their left back and right back receives the ball, I want my team to go after them because they only have an 180-degree angle to play to. They can only play forward and left if they're at right back, and they can only play behind them if there's a centre-back dropping off. They can't play, for example, the right back, he can't play 360. He can't play to his right-hand side, so he's trapped to the touchline. So already we have got a defender. The touchline is the defender, effectively, because he can't go that way. So when the ball goes out to the wide areas, I want my team to press, because really they can only go one of 3 ways rather than one of 6. If I ask the players to press inside the centre midfield spot, there's a lot more danger in there. There's a lot more danger for us to start going headless chicken and just being all crazy. Now, I know I've got my centre midfielders to be set as pressing midfielders, but I don't want us to go in the extra mile and the extra little bit and going stupid and everyone going and pressing in the centre. It's just a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. I'm not saying tactics can't work with that, but for me personally, I don't want to see that. And then short goalkeeper distribution, yes, I want my team to press them in. I've scored a couple of goals this year from League One teams not being able to play out from the back or trying to and losing it quite badly. Now, just quickly, I'm going to show you to the fixture schedule, and I'm just going to show you a couple of examples of this working in the game because it's nothing really without me showing you examples. And it's not going to be too long, but Leicester here in the Carabao Cup, we played them at home in the Carabao Cup and we actually battered them 4-0. And they had about 7 or 8 of their first team players in there. I think maybe even more, honestly. There's a lot of names that I noticed. Harry Winks, for example, they had a lot of good players in there. So that was a very, very good win. And we beat Bolton 3-2. Then we beat Peterborough 7-1, who are right now 2nd or 3rd in the league. They weren't at the time, but just to show you how good we've been. And then we played Brentford in the next round of the Carabao Cup in the Premier League, and they had their best team out, and we lost on penalties 2-2. So this is working against teams with better players and also higher up the pyramid, which is really, really good, and it shows you a lot of good things for next season. So this is against Leicester, and I'm going to quickly show you basically what's happening inside the game. So they've had the ball, Christensen, and they're trying to play it to Page here. And we win the ball through Connell, and then Vickers recycles. And this is when we get the ball here now, and this is how us getting into position. So straight away you can see Connell there, and I don't like how you can't click on players this year, and I'm not a fan of this entire thing, but I'm hoping they fix it. And so Connell here is right here. He is in position to be to get in the ball. He's a half-back and he's coming in there, right? So straight away, he's trying to get the ball in there, and he doesn't, but he's there. You can see the three. Right now, Ogbeta, my other left-back that was starting the season because my other one had an injury, he's our left-back. Now, at this point, it was early in the season, and I don't think I had him on forward runs enough. I think he was quite conservative. For example, there, he could be right up there if I wanted him to, and I would prefer him to, and now he would do that. So the system's evolved a little bit. So this is not perfect. This was right at the start of the season, like the third game or something. But already you can see the three centre-backs. The right-backs come inside. The centre midfielder carry. You can see Phillips there. It's Jorgen Nathan now, but at the start of the season it was Phillips. So he's there, my centre midfielder. He's behind their midfield. My right winger holding. My deep line forward occupying a centre-back. It's not near him yet to come deep too much, so he's pinning. And my left winger, it's not near him just yet to be coming inside. But you can see quite clearly he's not a touchline winger. So as this progresses, this is our first goal, and as this progresses, we're going to see how it goes on. So De Givini goes out to Ogbeta, and like I said, he goes past him because he's a wing back, and we keep going up the pitch. He comes back. I can't remember the goal entirely, but Carey comes in, and then he comes. Basically, Carey's always the option, like I mentioned, right? So as Ogbeta's going up the wing, Carey's always there. He's always there. He's ready. Not only that, my left centre-back's there if he needs him. And also my other centre-back and my half-back Connell is also there for the counter-attack. So you've also got to be looking at when you're attacking, what's going on when you're defending. And when you're defending, what's going on when you win the ball and what could be happening. So you've got to be looking at it both ways. Right, now this is the third goal against Leicester, and it's us building from the back. And the end scorer is Phillips right here. So you can either keep an eye on him or you can watch in general. So as you now know the principles of play for us, now you can see how it goes. So Ogbeta's getting the ball. Caeledon is sort of pinning their right back inside, so there's a lot of space. So eventually, in my system, I'm going to want to prioritise a left back that is absolutely monstrous at dribbling and very powerful. Think of it like a Teo Hernandez type player of previous FMs. I'm going to need a guy that's going to be... I mean, Ogbeta's very good at it, and Georgie Gent is my other left back in League One. Gent might get away with it in the Championship, but I'm going to need someone stronger than that because they're very, very pivotal how we play. If he just starts dribbling there and loses the ball, everything breaks down. So Ogbeta gets the ball, comes back, decides he can't do it. And as you can see, Connell is coming down here, gets the ball. Carey is linking it up. He's always an option. My right back's come inside. So again, 3, 2, and then, like I said, with Ogbeta, I'd like him to be up here now, making that run. It'd be a 4 and then a 1. Because as you can see, Caeledon is higher up. Basically, what I've asked for and what I've tried to put into Match Engine is exactly what's happening. And I've tried to explain to you guys. Hopefully, I've done it quite well. And hopefully, I've not waffled too much. If I have, again, put it in the comments and I will definitely help out. Or join the Discord, like I said earlier. And then Moreno there has come deep because he is the deep line forward. Now, as he's come deep, the centre-backs are not knowing who to mark. And quickly, Phillips, who scores this goal, by the way, because the pass from Moreno is fantastic. He scores the goal, and look at that. Centre midfield attack. Looks like he's the striker, but he's not. The striker's come deep, disrupted the back line, and he's gone in unnoticed and slotted the ball in. And that is a Championship team against their best team. And we took them to the cleaners 4-0. So like I mentioned, it's basically asking questions of every single role. So a lot of people, how they play the game, this is what we're going to talk about at the start, and this is what I'm going to tell you. It's quite a bit of a tip, to be honest. It is a tip. And if you do this, I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying maybe think a bit differently or maybe have the different opinion after this. Basically, a lot of people, when I stream on Twitch for years, they've said to me, what's the best role for my striker? Or what's the best role for my centre midfielder? And every single time, I say to them, I need to see your tactic. Because I don't know how it plays within the tactic. It's not as easy as, for example, I'm going to give you an example that I thought of earlier. So you might have a left winger, and he's a typical left winger. Think Ryan Giggs back in the day, or just think of a touchline winger that likes to get down the wing. I know they're in less supply these days, but they are still a thing. And let's just think he's left-footed. He's good at dribbling, his agility, his flair, and he's suited to be going down that left-hand side. But your team aren't scoring enough goals, right? They're not scoring enough goals and you don't know why. And the reason is you've probably got too many creators and not enough finishers. That's why Caledon on our left-hand side, who is a good finisher, is an inside forward, because I want someone only other than my striker. I want someone else getting inside the box and creating and scoring goals. So my point to the left winger situation is, if you've got a left winger and you're not scoring goals, it might be a good idea to look at the fact that, yes, he might not have the best attributes for an inside forward or for someone, a wide forward who gets into the box, but it might unlock your play, because the roles usually altogether are more important than the attributes of the players. I'm not saying you can put a centre-back at left-back and ask him to be a wing-back. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you can change subtly your winger to an inside forward. Even if he's got 8 finishing, it might unlock your entire team, because him coming inside might mean your left-back has space, or it might mean your centre midfielder has more space because they're occupying someone else. Just saying, think about what's happening in the match engine, and if you're not scoring enough goals, why are you not scoring enough goals? Where does it break down? What happens? Is one of your best players not getting the ball enough? How can you make him have more space? Etc, etc, etc. And the reason why I ask for your tactic and why I want to know your tactics and altogether is because your right back's role and duty probably impacts your left winger on the other side of the pitch, and vice versa. My half-back role, for example, definitely impacts my deep line forward role at striker. And the reason for that is because my half-back comes deep, as we all know, and then not only that, it usually drags their midfield forward as well, so it draws us onto us. And because Connell goes deep, Carey, as a playmaker, sees all that space, and playmakers in the match engine act that way, so they come towards the ball naturally. So when he comes towards the ball, that means my striker has more space, and you can see how it all works together and what you've got to be thinking about. And it's quite complex, I do understand, and some people might look at this video and think, too much for me, I don't want to do this, I just want to play Gegenpress 4-2-3-1, instant result, and that is your right. But if you clicked onto this video because you're genuinely intrigued by tactics, then I would consider thinking about all of it. And like I said, I would definitely invite you all to join my live streams. The links are below. Click subscribe on the YouTube channel because we're going to do a lot of tactical stuff this year. TikTok's going to have some stuff tactical as well. Like I said, all the links are down below, and also my Discord as well if you wanted to ask more questions. But that's going to do it for me. If you wanted to see more than that, and if you're feeling a bit like, oh, I wanted to see that, please let me know down below, because anything that you guys let me know you want to see, that'll go on my video list, and I will start doing those videos because I know you want to see it. Leave a like, leave a subscription, please, if you enjoyed the video and you got something from it, and I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.